Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Carla's Kitchen. Today I'm going to share a very simple recipe. It's my take on a tzatziki sauce. We start with having all of the ingredients collected together. Then we're going to prepare, mix it, and it's ready for any crudite or any type of spread where you'd like to have a dip available. I also like this on, various meatball recipes and different wraps and things like that as well. So it's a good make ahead that you can keep in your fridge for up to a week. We're going to start with some plain Greek yogurt. You want to avoid the vanilla flavored. It's going to give an undesirable taste to the dip or sauce. I have a whole fat. You can also do 2%, whatever your choice is there. You want to have a citrus, preferably a lemon, but today I have lime, so that is what we're rolling with. Additionally, folks, traditionalists would like to, again, this is my take on the dish, so it is what it is. We'll tell you to have fresh garlic available. I do not have fresh garlic to grate at the moment, so we're going to go with garlic powder instead. And I'm doing garlic powder so that I can control the amount of salt that goes into the dish rather than a garlic salt. Salt, pepper, and dill. And again, folks like to have the fresh dill, but I've got dried, so that's what we're using. Additionally, I add a red onion to mine. It's a prebiotic, probiotic thing, and it's really good for digestion. So this is sort of a cross between a tzatziki sauce and some of the Indian yogurt dishes that you'll find. Lastly, and one of the main ingredients is going to be a burpless style cucumber. They have thin skin, so you just want to clean the cucumber good, dry it, chop off the ends, and then I'm going to grate it because I like a finer texture. But if you like your sauce or your dip a little more chunky, then you can dice the onion and the cucumber instead. I'm going to grate both of these and then set them in the strainer to get the water. Put a little salt on them, set them in the strainer to get the water coming out so that the sauce isn't overly watered down with all of the liquid that comes out of these two when you grate them down. So, be back in just a moment with my 2 ingredients grated up and we'll move on from there. Okay, we're back and I've gotten my arm workout in for the day. So here I've got grated that entire cucumber and about half of the onion. Oops, there it is. That you saw earlier. Now what I did was I left the skin on the cucumber. As I said, I just chopped off one of the ends and grated it finely. Some folks like a larger grate, or as I said, to just chop finely dice up the veggies instead. It's up to you how you like your sauce. If you want a little bit of chunk in there, dice it up. If you prefer a smaller, finer grate like I've done, go for it. Do that. I did peel the onion down, got the gross outside layers off before I started. And then the next step we're going to do is just put a bit of salt on here. I don't measure a whole lot. Maybe about a half a teaspoon, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. And I'm just going to mix it around with clean hands. So now the onion and cucumber are going to lose a little bit more water, and I'm going to gently press. You can use cheesecloth if that's what you have in your kitchen. I do not. I've got this. You can wrap in a kitchen towel, paper towel. Might stick a little bit to that. So, clean hands is a good way to go. And just press some of that excess liquid out. I'm moving it around the edges so it's not just pressing into the other grated stuff. It's actually falling down into the bowl below. And I've already taken out quite a bit of liquid with having used the grater. It has a catcher on the bottom, so a lot of liquid was lost that way. But look at all that additional liquid that's coming out just from adding salt and doing a little press here. So I'm going to press it a little bit more. May fast forward through this on edit, we'll see. And then once you feel, you've gotten a fair amount of the liquid out, and you've got it pressed up against the edges pretty thinly, sorry about the noise. There we go. Then we can just set that aside until we're ready to incorporate it. Let me clean my hands up a bit here, one moment. Okay, so we're just about ready to start mixing. You want to have a container that's a little bit bigger than what you need for mixing. I like to mix directly in the bowl I'm going to store it into, because why dirty an extra dish, right? The dishwasher, me, appreciates that very much. So you're going to start with anywhere from 1.5 cups to 2 cups. And of course you can always, double down on the recipe if you're having a large, if you've got a lot of people to feed, etc. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 cups. Because we like this around these parts. And we're going to put a big spread out of crudite here in just a little bit to enjoy some of this lovely sauce. Okay. I don't measure often, guys. Don't judge. I learned cooking from a woman who just went by, when the ancestors tell you to stop, so bear with me here. And I'm using a little more than half of this 32-ounce container, basically. So if you're wondering on, how much do I buy? The 32-ounce container is what's available in my local store. If you find one that's smaller that suits your needs, perfect. Otherwise, I'll post some additional recipes that you can use that extra plain for. I've got this yummy dessert recipe that I've been making lately as it's getting warmer here in my location. And you can make a tasty treat and pop in your freezer for those hot days. And it treats your stomach a little bit better than ice cream does if you have any dairy issues. This is also a great dish. It's, I'm obviously from the US, if you can't tell by my accent, where ranch was often a dish served, with crudite. And that's fine, but it's always made with sour cream or mayonnaise and it's just a lot for digestion anymore. This is so much better if you have any type of digestive woes. It's also healthier to have yogurt frequently in your diet, and it's a nice little dip you can enjoy without feeling super guilty about, even if you don't have dairy digestion issues. So I'm going to save the lime. We're going to do the citrus last. Now what I'm going to do is kind of just spread this out in the bowl a bit so that you can make my dogs in here checking out what's going on. And as I said, I don't measure a whole lot. So you could use 3 to 4 cloves of garlic if you have garlic cloves. What I'm going to do is start by just putting a little bit of garlic powder all the way around. Yep. And of course you can always modify these recipes to your liking, to your taste. I'm going to add some cracked black pepper. And I usually just start by going around the dish when I'm seasoning food. So you'll see this a lot if you watch any other videos on this channel as they come. I'm going to add a little more salt and some of the dried dill. Actually, I'm going to put it in my hand first. I'm going to kind of smush it, hand grinder there, as we add it to the dish. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate the spices, because you can kind of tell once you mix it up. How does that look? Does it look like the seasoning's all through there? This is why I haven't put the onion or the cucumbers in just yet. Just want to make sure your seasonings are evenly distributed throughout. I guess I could have gone with a slightly larger bowl, but here we are. Okay. I'm seeing the little flecks. I don't know if they're being picked up on camera, but I can see the little flecks are kind of distributed throughout here. Do a couple of folds just to make sure there's no empty spots hiding on the bottom. I see some seasoning hiding on my stirring spatula here, so we're going to scrape that down. and give it another mix. You don't want a big pocket of seasoning in one bite and a very plain bite in the next. That's not going to be pleasant. So again, just trying to mix it all around and make sure we are copacetic here. And then take my spoon, take a little taste. It's all right, but for me, I'm going to go in with the garlic again. I want the dip to really have some flavor because we're putting it on raw veggies, which tend to not have a lot of flavor. And I could use a little more salt. A pinch of dill. And this is why taste is important. This is what tastes good to me. And it also could be that the allergies are kicking in here for me, so maybe my taste buds are a little off today. But you add the seasoning, you know, you can always add more. It's really hard to take it away, short of adding more yogurt to the dish, right? And then our cucumber and onion ratio is not going to be really on point. But as I said, I like a lot of flavor in my food. If you choose to watch more videos as they come online on this channel, you'll notice seasoning is a big part of how I prepare food. I like to make it so that you really don't need to add much at the table, although we've got my mother living with us and salt is a concern for her, so some of my dishes I do make so that a little bit of table salt is added and we just use the sea salt grinders. I made a little bit of a mess here. We'll clean up the edge of the bowl when we're done because I'm going to start some more in a bit. I am not going to dip the same spoon in there. We're going to take on faith that that's enough right now. I didn't get a second spoon out, so there we have that. I'm going to grab, look at all that juice that's come out. I'm going to grab this, give it one more press, one more chance to drop a couple. Oh my, look at that. You really don't want all that liquid to go into the sauce. And I also, in traditional dishes, people will either fold in olive oil or garnish with olive oil at the end. I choose not to do that in my version. So it's almost a cross between tzatziki and rayata, given that I'm adding the onions in, but I'm not putting curry powder or any of the more traditional Indian spices in here. Okay, that feels pretty good. So now I'm just gonna scrape down the edges here. And again, working with clean hands, use your hands. That's another tool, and you're gonna wash them anyways, so now you don't have to wash a whole nother dish by getting an extra spatula out to do this. Now the cucumber juices, I've seen some people say, you know, you can drink those straight. You can use it for smoothie later on if you want to, or you can just pitch it out. It's up to you how you choose to do. I like to make this because I was buying pre-made tzatziki sauce like very frequently, and I realized all the preservatives that go in there. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, you know, super crunchy. I don't make everything from scratch. I don't have the time for that in my life. But this is one thing you can make ahead, store tightly covered in the fridge, and it's going to be good for like five-ish days. So you want to make it a little bit ahead so that it can go in the fridge, chill for at least an hour, because you want all of these flavors to incorporate, and that's usually what fridge time does. You know, if you've ever made a pasta salad, you know it's better after you put it in the fridge for a little bit. Lasagna is better the next day. You know, it holds true for a lot of things. Now we're just going to incorporate the shredded cucumber, shredded or diced, you know, however you chose to make it on your side. Shredded, diced onion and cucumber. And again, we want to mix this well and make sure it's all fully incorporated. And I did the seasoning first for a reason, so that you could get a sense of how the seasoning is going to, you know, be distributed, etc., before You can mix everything in one time if you want to. I find that's just a little harder to say, you know, is the garlic and dill and salt and pepper, is that on point for my liking? And it's easier to do that with the plain yogurt, in my opinion, than after you've mixed in all of these other, you know, onion's a pretty strong flavor, so kind of want to mix that in at the end. And you can see it's very thick, it's pretty hearty. We're going to mix in a little bit of this lime juice in a moment, and then clean up the edge of the bowl, cover it, and store it. And you just get that out when you're ready. Like I said, if you want to serve out a little crudite spread, if you want to do instead a little bit of, I'm just going to use the side of the bowl because my spoon has already been in my mouth, so I'm not going to put that back in the dish for everyone. Okay, give me just a minute. I'm going to get my knife, slice up the lime, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Lime is sliced. Got a fresh, clean spoon out there. And I'm going to go ahead and, you know, if you don't have a squeezing device, as I'm using here, just use your hand and squeeze it. You can poke it with a fork, leaving it whole instead of slicing it. There's a lot of ways to do this. The other half. You know, adding citrus to any dish just always gives it a bright, almost summertime feel. I've just started attempting to grow my own lemon and lime trees here in the house so that I can always have fresh to add to any dish that I like. They haven't started fruiting yet, so that's why we're going with the store-bought lime right now. But again, traditionally you'd want to stick with lemon, and it's really up to your taste. If you like lime better, use lime. Okay, scrape the bowl around, make sure you get underneath, get a good mix on everything. Get the sides of the bowl. To get a clean spoon out here, because the last thing you're going to want to do is scrape down your stirring device. I don't want to lose all that goodness. That's a couple whole dips right there. Okay, scrape it down and give it a little taste test. Okay, I have to clean my counter again in a minute, but that's fine. Now I'm going to take and clean up the edge of my bowl. I'm going to let this chill in the fridge for at least an hour. And again, it can stay tightly covered in the fridge for about 5 days. I'll be right back with some serving suggestions. And here we are with our little lunchtime spread that I've put together. I did garnish a little bit on top. Again, I chose not to use olive oil in my dish. Some incorporate, some drizzle on the top at the end. Instead, what I've done is I've added just a little sprinkling of salt and pepper on top for a little additional flavor. And I've set out a variety of just my version of a little crudite buffet style, so you can help yourself. As I mentioned in the about on the channel, I'm a carnivore, but I live with a vegetarian, so I try to make meals that everyone can enjoy, and it's a little bit healthier than just plopping down a ready-made ranch dip. So here we've got some pecans, walnuts, a little toasted naan sliced up, and cauliflower, broccoli, celery, tomatoes, carrots. And then over here, just some fresh fruits. These are the Cara ruby oranges, dried dates, dried fig sliced, blueberries, strawberry, apples, and that's it. You know, put what you like on your plate, leave the rest, and enjoy a nice little buffet. I will be linking to another video. There's something else I like to add that's ironically also cucumber based. Cucumber and hummus, little bite size. I eat them as snacks, eat them as appetizers. Sometimes I include it as one of the side options for our meals. So once I've got that video ready, I will link that to this video as well. Apologies for the dog drinking in the background. That's how it is here at Chez Carla. So I hope to see you all again soon. I hope you found this recipe helpful. I hope you try it out and you like it.